On today's Tech Help for Churches, getting email addresses into your email newsletter service. Hi, and welcome again to another episode of Tech Help for Churches. This is the show where every week we talk about using the internet, the web, new media, social media, that sort of thing for your church. My name is Paul Allen Clifford. I'd love for you to ask your questions, by the way, so leave them below if you're watching the video in the comments section, or drop me a line, paul@trinitydigitalmedia.com, or just go to trinitydigitalmedia.com/contact. And there you can find all my contact information, including my Twitter address, Paul Allen Cliff, PaulAlanClif. So let's get started talking about this. Now, last week I made a screencast, and that's what I'm doing again this week, but I'm going to attempt to make it as relevant for those of you that prefer audio as possible. So hopefully I'll succeed, and if not, just head over and watch the video. That'll help you out as well. So let's head on over to my computer and we'll go through a few things. Okay, so here we are in the back end of MailChimp, and if you're listening to the audio, I'm going to try and describe this as I said in the introduction. So we have a few different choices here in the dashboard, and the first one that first off, let me scroll down and make sure that I want to do it in this order. Wonder why that's... there we go. So there we go. So here are our choices. Create and send a campaign. We don't have anyone to send it yet, so we're going to skip that for now. We'll talk about that in the future. Create a list. This is a good thing to have. Start building an audience. Also a good thing to have. And invite your colleagues. So let's actually start with creating a list. I'm going to click the Create a List button. Okay, so you'll notice that it says we have no lists. Well, that's because we just started. So I'm going to click the Create a List button again, and we'll see what we can get here. Okay, so we've got some information here. So first, we're going to create the list name. Let's call this First Church List. Default from email. I'm just going to put in my normal one here. From name, Reverend Lovejoy. Remind people how they got on this list. If I was using this for commercial purposes, I might say you got on this list because you signed up to get updates and things like that. So let's think. You're getting this email. Works it better if I spell it right. You're getting this email because you wanted First Church Hack in Sacks newsletter. Okay, contact information again is necessary because they need to do this. Further down here, you can get an email every time you get a new subscriber. You can get an email every time there's a summary, etc. So we'll just move on and click Save. Okay, here we're actually on the list. The very next thing we need to do is we need to get people on the list. Now there are a couple of ways to do that. First off, we can add subscribers, and I'm going to click that drop down window, and I can either type them in individually by clicking the add subscriber button, or click the import subscriber, and if I've got a comma separated value list, like something you'd export from Excel for example, I can upload that here. I could also create a sign-up form, and let me show you how to do that, because there's a couple of things you might want to do, and you might want to put this on the church's website. So let's click on sign-up forms here and let that load. So list name, that just is the normal name, who it's from, there's the email, there's the default subject line, which is optional, subscriber notifications, etc. Now we're just going to click Save Listing Campaign Defaults, and going to go to Sign Up Forms. I think because I used a different email address than I did initially, it's making me verify that email address, so I'm just going to do that real quick. Okay, now we're going to click on Sign Up Forms. What I just did is I verified that email address that I sent that, told it that it would send from, and it was basically, it sent me an email and I put in a code that it got. So here we have some choices. We have general forms, embedded forms, subscriber pop-up, and form integrations. Let's start with general forms and select that. And now we have a choice here. We can, under create forms, there's a choice between sign up form and a few others here. Doesn't really, well, let's start with the sign up form. And the reason we want to do that is there are some other forms that we're going to need, like ones that verify and send it to another website and stuff like that. But we really want to start with the sign up form and go from there. So as you see here, we can build a form right here, and we can add all kinds of fun things to that form. I'm scrolling back up to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, I wanted to tell you about this. There is a sign up form URL, so you can send people directly to this form on on MailChimp's site, or you can embed that form onto your own website. And we'll talk about that. But over here to the right of the form itself, I have some different choices. I can add text, I can add numbers, I can add radio buttons, check boxes, etc. I could add a form for birthday, address, etc. So depending on what I'm trying to do, I would put in more or less information here. For my personal website, I only do email address and first name, because the more information you make people fill out, the less likely they are to get on the email list. So you want to keep this as bare minimum as you can. Maybe since it's your church, you're going to want to do email address and first and last name, so that you can make sure that you're sending things to the appropriate people. I don't actually know most of the people on my list, so Bob is Bob on my list, Tom is Tom, Jane is Jane. It wouldn't matter to me if they have their last name or not. But for your church, you probably want both of them. You can also change this subscribe to list button, but it's a little harder to do. So this is the default form, but you can also, here, let's click on the Design It tab, and you can tweak some of this stuff, the background color, etc., which is fun to do. And you can even translate it into other languages if you wanted to. For most people, that's not going to be something they're going to do unless, for example, you have both an English and a Spanish ministry. Perhaps in that case, you would want it translated. Maybe you've got a ministry that reaches out to an immigrant community, maybe it's Korean, whatever, doesn't matter. So you would change the translation here. So that's one thing that you can do, but we also have a couple of other things here. So the other forms that you can do are the sign-up form. It'll show you the sign-up form with alerts, so you can change the alerts. There's a thank you page, so once someone signs up, it sends them to a page that says thank you. Opt-in confirmation email. You want to do a double opt-in so that people don't think, why am I getting this? The more things that you have to go through to get it, the better for that. Then a confirmation thank you and a final welcome. You can see that you also have the unsubscribe forms, update forms, forward to a friend, stuff like that. So you have a lot of options here. Now, let's see if I can find where it is, because there is, in addition to this form, yep, here. So I clicked back on sign up forms, and there's embedded forms. So I'm going to click on embedded forms and show you what you would want to do if you wanted to put this directly on your mailing list. So we have, or on your website rather. So we have a few different choices. We've got the classic form, we've got the super slim form, and we've got the naked form, and then we've got the advanced form. The classic form has everything. The super slim form is just the email address. The naked form, don't get scared about that because you're a church. That's just the form without the style information. So you could take this and then have whoever's in charge of the website do some formatting. And then you've got the advanced, which allows you to do some fun stuff. Let's go back here to the naked form, and I want to show you the code that you copy and paste. Now it begins with the less than sign and the exclamation point followed by 2 hyphens, and you click and drag down all the way to the bottom where it ends with a couple more hyphens and the greater than sign. So everything in between those you want to select, then you copy it just like you would in your word processor using Command C on a Mac or Control C on a PC, and then you'll paste that in the appropriate place on your website. And I'm not going to get into that, but just know that you can do that. You can put this on your website and make it perfectly appropriate. So that's basically how you go about getting people to be signed up on your email newsletter list. Next time we'll talk a little bit about basically some of your options once people are on the list, and what you do with them once they're there. Well, I hope that helped you. I hope it's clear now some of the different ways that you can get people onto the list to receive your email newsletter. It's a little bit different than just copying and pasting, but it is something that I think is much more valuable to do with a service like MailChimp than to just do it by one of the other means. If you like this content, why not join my newsletter? Just head on over to trinitydigitalmedia.com/gifts, and there you can get a free gift and a free copy of my email newsletter, which I send out at least once a week, with a few exceptions. Until next time, this is Paul Allen Clifford with trinitydigitalmedia.com.